for you to step into next, for you to step into your best self, for you to step into your true self, it isn't about going out and getting something, but it is about letting go. It is about letting go of the limitations. It is about letting go of the noise. And when you fully let go of some of those things that you have set yourself up as limitations for yourself, then you can naturally step into your best self. You can naturally step into your essential self. Hello, and welcome to episode 5 of the 10x Mindset podcast with Gene and I. We're glad that you're here. Now, today we want to share something very interesting with you, because one of the sort of mindset or one of the assumption that people work with is that, to step into 10x, to step into growth, to change something, to shift something, to transform, you need to add a lot of things. You need to learn new skills or develop this confidence or go out and get some inspiration. But there are a lot of the things that you need to go out and get it for yourself so that you can have it within you. But what if I tell you that it's actually the opposite? For you to step into next, for you to step into your best self, for you to step into your true self, it isn't about going out and getting something, but it is about letting go. It is about letting go of the limitations. It is about letting go of the noise. And when you fully let go of some of those things that you have set yourself up as limitations for yourself, then you can naturally step into your best self. You can naturally step into your essential self. Of course, the underlying idea is that you are already your essential self. You are already your best self, and then stuff happens. So today is about exploring that. So stay with us for the rest of the episode. What are your thoughts about this, Gene?
Yeah, well, one of the things I really like about the 10X model is that it is, in my view, the mechanism to access our essential self. I mean, it's a pretty comprehensive model. And when we talk about essential self being expressed through core identities, what we get is we also get the flip side. And the flip side is counterfeit identities. And counterfeit identities are anchored in self-limiting beliefs. And you're talking about kind of like the noise in the system or self-limitations. Those are one way to think about those are the behaviors and the beliefs that go with them. And so as we are talking about this, one of the set of indicators for how to identify self-limitations, how to remove them, and then how to actually access our essential self is our language. And what's wonderful about that is that we can self-monitor language. Once we get the filter on what we're looking for, what we're paying attention to, what we're listening for, we can catch it for ourselves. One of those is just the fact that if we use negative, so I can't, or I won't, or I don't, or I shouldn't, uh, all those are negatives that we can be sure that they are associated with a self-limiting belief. And so once we can have that filter, identify what those self-limitations are, and then do the belief work to change the belief from can't to no, in fact, I can. And what that then does is it opens the door for making the core identity statement decision that I am whatever I am, I am bold, or I am ambition, or I am consequential, whatever, something like that, that we can then begin to naturally act. Because one of the things we talk about regularly is that identity generates behavior, generates outcomes. So the outcomes that we generate like that are consistent with the identity that we have. And once we establish that core identity, then it becomes a natural expression of who we are to produce those kind of outcomes. So that's the kind of the structural aspect of what we're talking about. And I'm just fascinated because the 10X model being a real instrument or tool to gain access to who we are. I mean, so many people, when they come into a coaching session or something, they want to know who they are. right? We want to know who we are. And so, how we do that is to actually help guide them through that process of moving from the negative to the positive, and then the expression of that positive that produces the results that they want. And it speaks to what you were talking about this is not just about going out and getting something more, it's actually removing something that limits us from being who we are or being the more.
Yeah. Right. So, so part of the process, I mean, the first step, if I may say, of the processes comes from first becoming aware of what is the noise in our system.
Mm.
Sometimes we aren't even aware of what are the limitations that we've imposed on ourselves. And I have recognized working with people that often to them, that's just how things are, or that's just how
Right.
life is. It makes such a huge difference to kind of just break through them because they are, like you shared, they are self imposed and it's not just how life is. And so the first step would be to kind of recognize that what's the noise, what's that noise in our system? Where are we at? What's going on? And part of the way that we can do that is through language. And I think a good first step that you suggested would be to focus on the language of, if you've learned LP, then you would say it as modal operators. But it's basically recognizing the language of identifying I can't do something, I shouldn't do something, I haven't done something, because they are generally a nice cue into kind of like, okay, here's the limitation that I'm putting on myself. But I also feel like the key phrase is to create that awareness that this is the limitation that I'm putting for myself, rather than sometimes kind of people go like, I can't do something because someone else is not allowing me to do that.
Right. Well, that in itself is noise. I mean, when we're going external reference and saying and we actually are generating the expectation we attribute to somebody else. Now, it may be true that someone else has that expectation, but that doesn't mean we have to accept it for ourselves. And if we do accept it, it is noise. So then part of the transformation aspect of it is saying, okay, where's my agency in being able to transform that noise into signal? Right. And so I think that's an exciting part of this kind of work. Also, the other thing that comes to mind as we're talking is that we did a previous podcast on self-reflection. And when we think about reflecting on our internal dialogue, we can listen to the language we use internally, or the even if we do it in visualizations or kinesthetics, we can pay attention to how we internally processing limitations. And that's part of developing the filter of awareness that you spoke about originally. Was as we become aware, say, wait a second, I do not have to um, function from that limitation, because every time I do, it's like it stops me from the fullness of who I am, the wholeness of who I am.
Yeah. So shall we do a little bit of demonstration of this?
Yeah, let's
Because
do
as
it.
you were sharing this, I was thinking about one of the sort of internal dialogue I have about something that's present with me.
Yeah,
And so then this could become like a good demonstration for everyone to process this.
yeah, I think it's a great idea.
So as you were sharing, I was thinking about what is one of the what is the noise in my system. And I think part of the noise in my system right now that I'm aware of is this internal dialogue that has, over maybe last 10 days that has gone by, I don't have enough time to do all the things that I want to, uh, all the things I want to do over the next couple of months. This partly comes from my experience. I'm going to be traveling day after tomorrow, and then stuff happens that lots of trainings, retreats, I'm traveling in like many different places. But as a result of that, because it's external reference, and as a result of that, I've developed this internal dialogue to go like, okay, I don't think I have all the time in the world to finish everything that I want to finish.
Right. Given the way that you've structured that, you don't. It's the truth. All right. So one one of the ways that I would go about that one is I would say, okay, so say you have 5 or 10 things you want to do, which is too many, right? You don't have enough time to do all of those, given the travel, given the retreats, given all those things. So if you ask yourself the question, if I were able to do those things, what outcome would I accomplish? And then we can backtrack from the outcome and say, okay, how do I get that outcome without having to do all 10 of these things?
Yeah. I mean, so for me, getting everything done would be an experience. So the outcome that I would experience is accomplishment, like synergy.
Right, right.
Like I want to, it's almost like a win in my head to get all of those things done in the specific time. And the experience of that is that then things will be in order. There'll be structure and order. Right now, it feels a bit chaotic.
So really the outcome that you're going for is to have order,
To have order, yeah.
right? Okay. And then so at the moment you're saying I can't do that, which means that you have a counterfeit identity of, I am disorderly, I'm chaos.
Chaos.
I'm chaos.
Yeah.
Right? I'm chaos. And the core identity is I am order or orderliness. That. And if you make that when you make that switch, if you kind of just step into I'm orderliness right now, how does that change your filter on all those 5 or 10 things you need to do that you don't have time for?
So my timeline stretches. So like I said, I've been seeing till a certain point, but I can see that part of it would be that I can see further because I'm trying to organize all of this thing within like next couple of months.
Right.
But
Right.
part of my experience is to kind of go like, okay, it can extend till 1 or 2 months more. That's one part of it. The second part of it is also commitment to myself as I step into being, I don't know, orderliness. Is that the word?
Yeah.
Being
Yeah.
orderliness.
Orderliness. Yeah. Internal state.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a commitment to self because
Yeah.
part of what happens is that my limitation, to be honest, isn't so much about I don't have time.
Right.
My limitation is that when I travel, I tend to get carried away by new country. It's a new place. I want to go for that hike.
Right.
I want to go for that.
The
So
new
if I
experience. Yeah.
new
Yeah.
experience and stuff. So I feel like when I step into orderliness, I can see, I can experience myself being committed to. I actually have the time to do all these things.
Right.
It's just that I'm unwilling to commit to it. I wasn't unwilling to commit to it because I wanted the space to be open to do that extra hike or
Right.
experience that new place.
Right. Right. So, I mean, actually, there are a couple things. One is there's orderliness, and so that's bringing order where there was chaos, which you're actually doing as you process. And by extending your timeline, you actually are giving yourself order, right? So
Yeah.
you've changed the criteria equivalence of order
Yeah.
in contrast to disorder. And then the other one is experience. And so, how does you're generating new experience while you travel, new places, new things that you've not done but want to go explore. How is that an example of orderly?
I mean, it is because that's a conscious decision that I've made because now I travel a lot for work. And as a result of that, if I'm going to travel 4 or 5 months in a year, 6 months in a year, sometimes, then I've recognized that I want to distinguish that what is my free time versus what is my work time. Because otherwise, I experience chaos and I don't enjoy that.
Right,
My
right,
personal preference would be to organize myself in a way that I can do both, where I can consciously focus on here's my free time to do the hike, and I need to get my 6 8 hours of work productivity, whatever,
right.
for time.
And how does that feel for you to have that perspective you're talking about right now?
It feels orderly.
That's good.
It feels, I mean, the result of that is that it feels much more, I don't know, lack of better word, in control.
Yeah.
It feels
Yeah.
like I'm on top of this. And
Well, I mean,
it's,
in control is actually a function that's useful for bringing order, right? And
yeah,
one of the ways in which you exercise your control, your agency, was to extend your timeline on the things that needed to be done in order that you had the sense of, okay, I have order here now, not chaos. The contrast between chaos and order, in part, is determined by the timeline, right?
yeah,
And there's another aspect of that is determined by the experience you want to have of working in free time, and that you can have order with both of those. You don't have to separate or compartmentalize.
yeah. Great.
What I like about this is the power of being aware of our internal dialogue and then being able to process it. So it's like as soon as we catch ourselves going, for example, this feels like chaos. This doesn't feel good. I don't have time. Right. And I catch myself. Then what I can do is say, okay, now how do I flip that? And that's kind of like what that process was we were just going through, was flipping it so that you come to the place of, oh, you know, I can have order
Yeah,
by just making a few minor changes that have major impact.
yeah. And I can experience this, it's almost like a slightly, not slightly, actually, a little more than slightly, but lightness,
Yeah.
because I had this thought and I had this internal dialogue. I was carrying it around. And so
Right.
to me, this is an experience of like, now I have let go of this noise that I was
Mhm.
carrying around. It's not so much noise for me, there's so much as a weight. I could feel the
Weights.
weight
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. Let's change modalities here. But yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. The weight lifts
yeah,
out. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And I think that's really the point that we were talking about. That if we develop the awareness that we can catch ourselves, and then we actually have to have the resources, we have to have the tools, the strategies to do it. One of the things that the 10x model gives us is a framework within which to use those tools and strategies to make the changes that we're talking about. And of course, underneath that, of course, is NLP and all of the submodalities and change strategies and stuff, that tote models and stuff that we have.
yeah,
So it's very multidimensional, which is kind of the usefulness of NLP.
yeah. So if I would backtrack this process so that everyone can experience this and then be part of it, is the first step would be for you to recognize what's the noise in your system, or in my case, what's the weight on your
Yeah,
shoulders.
right. Exactly.
Weight in the system, however you process that, or what's the blur in your system, whatever works for you, and to recognize that where you carrying that around, where you carrying that noise and that weight. And part of me was to recognize it in my language that, okay, I can't do this, or I don't have enough time. And so to recognize that for yourself. And so that's the first step, to identify, be aware of your language. And in your language, you can identify where you carrying that weight and noise around for yourself. Now, as you recognize that, to focus on the outcome, that as a result of letting go of this noise or flipping this, that if for me it was, if I could do everything I wanted to do, what would I experience, what would I achieve? So you could flip it. So for example, if you think about, I can't speak in front of a whole bunch of people, I can't speak in front of a large group, let's say, as an example, then what would be the result of you being able to speak in front of a large group of people? And whatever that is for you, it could be the expression of freedom, it could be expression of impact, contribution, confidence. And so then that is part of your core identity. So that would become the step three. The outcome that you would achieve as a result of flipping or experiencing it, how can you become that outcome? An underlying presupposition is that you are that, but you're not stepping into that because you created this limitation, this noise, this weight for yourself that's holding you back from stepping into that core identity that you already have, that you already are. And so as you step into that, what changes, what happens in your internal system. Would that an accurate
Yes.
process?
And one thing I would say about that, just in reflection, is that this presupposes our ability to step into an internal state, because core identities are internal states out of which our behavior flows. So if our listeners are not so familiar with how you step into that, that just identifies an area of development. And once you develop that skill, this becomes just the most natural thing in the world to do. You develop the awareness, find out that the negative, for example, language that's the indicator for it, flip it and move into the core identity, step into that core identity, and then start behaving from it, just like you were doing in terms of creating order. And for you, the order actually began internally, and now it will manifest externally. And that, again, is a principle that we operate on all the time, is if we change our internal world, we change the external world.
Yeah. Which means I'll have so much time to do so many more podcasts in the couple of weeks. See, it's a benefit for all of you as well.
There we go. That's great. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Right. So one thought that I had that I also like about this idea and this process is also that, a lot of the times there's so many sort of motivational messages out there speaking about let go of the noise, let go of the limitation. But through 10x model as a framework, we've actually defined a process of how can you actually let go of the noise. It's not just about saying that, okay, you have all this noise and then you let go of it. I mean, if it is that easy, but if it was that easy for everyone, then uh, we would have been in a very different place in this world.
That's right.
But this is a great way to kind of focus on a process that tells you that how you can let go of the noise. And this is one process. I mean, part of the 10x models is that there are so many other distinctions through which you can achieve this experience. But this is a sort of great, effective, easy way to start paying attention to your language. Your language will give you a clue into where you're
Yes.
carrying the noise and the weight and the blur. And then stepping into your outcome, flipping it and stepping into your outcome will allow you to let go of it.
Yeah.
It's just that
That's right.
simple.
Once you learn to do it, it becomes even simpler.
Yeah.
So practice,
Yeah.
practice is really the key here, is like, do it once, do it successfully. Oh, okay, I can do it once, I can do it twice, and then it becomes a way of being as you continue to do it.
Great. Brilliant. So I'd share that it will be great for you to do this as a process immediately.
Yes.
And it'll be great for us to kind of hear your experiences and your thoughts and your reflections on what happened as you kind of started to let go of the noise and the weight and the blur for yourself. Now, as I share this, some of you might get this internal dialogue which says that, oh, but I can't comment or I can't share. So it's a great opportunity for you to work on it and change it. Let go of that noise so that you can share more with us. Because we would truly love to hear what's going on with you. It helps us understand and it helps us build the future episodes in a way that makes a lot of sense. And we can even pick some of the things that doesn't work for you to address it in the future episodes as well. So please do share with us. You can share with us on YouTube or you can share with us on LinkedIn. The links to that are mentioned in our profile so that you can click on them and then share wherever you like.
And we definitely like for you to share, because we'd like to be able to respond in either in another podcast or in even directly sometimes, because we're both of us are committed to our transformation, but also your transformation. And so that's one of the reasons why we're doing the podcast, is just to spread the word of what's possible and how people can live lives fully and completely and with lots of energy and joy, really living from joy.
Great, brilliant. So any last words or message from you, Gene?
I'm just aware that I just mentioned how a consequence of this work is joy. As I've been working with the 10X model, one of the things that I've discovered is that when people are naturally living in a way where they experience joy as just kind of the most natural thing in the world, that is a sign that they really kind of crossed a threshold that the 10X model reveals. And that's the threshold into living from your essential self. So this is just a strategy and a model for what we're talking about today is to actually removing the limitations on our essential self and the expressions through our core identity in order to live in joy. And of course, there are many other internal states as well, but a key indicator that we look for is the fact that joy is just a way of being for people who've crossed that threshold. And so that's what we'd want for you as a viewer is that you would be able to cross that threshold and to experience joy as just a natural state of being for yourself.
Brilliant. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Gene. And thank
Yeah.
you, everyone, for joining us today. And we'll see you again very soon. Thank
Yeah. I
you.
look forward to it. That's great. Thank you. Thank you, Nisha.